Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar, AI-Enabled Media Asset Management. My name is Brian Ahern, and I will be the moderator on this webinar this morning. The objective today is to show you the business benefits and the value of a combined MAM and AI ecosystem. We're going to use an example from the sports world as the use case. Today, we're joined by Evan from Evolphin, by David from Veritone, by Alessandro and by Davide from Inter Milan. I'm going to ask the guys to briefly introduce themselves and then we'll get started. Evan, why don't you say hello to the audience, please?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Evan Michaels, and I'm the VP of Video Product Management at Evolphin.
David?
Hello, my name is David Candler. I'm the Senior Director, Customer Solutions for Veritone.
And Ale?
Hello, everybody. I'm Alessandro Travaglia, and I'm the IT Manager for the digital part for FC Internazionale Milano.
Hi, guys. I'm Davide Pimpinella. It's a pleasure to be here. I am the IT analyst for the digital and media projects in Inter.
Thank you, guys. There will be time after the webinar to ask questions, and I would encourage you to do so. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy the webinar. And Evan, I'm going to hand it over to you to run with the materials. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Evan, pick it up, please.
Great. Thank you, Brian. So we're going to talk about the challenges that sports teams and other companies face and how to solve those challenges with a combined MAM and AI solution. And so, sports teams and other companies, one of the challenges that they're facing is that there's greater competition for the attention of their fans or their customers. There's only 24 hours in a day, and there's so much content and media and entertainment out there. How do you reach your fans and give them the content that they need and have them engage with your brand? So sports teams and other companies have to create better content faster, and that content has to resonate more with their fans so that the fans engage with it. Often sports teams and other media companies have huge archives of video, images, or audio that is sitting unused. It's on drives or a storage volume somewhere. It's not searchable, and it's a huge missed potential for return on investment, or it takes a really long time to find a clip that is needed. So how do you solve these challenges and greatly increase the return on investment on the production of this media? So to solve these problems, you really need a MAM and an AI solution that are automating as much as possible, because you want to save as much time as possible for your workers. So the MAM will automate the ingestion, the file transfer, the delivery, the archive, the publishing, and really be the central orchestrator of moving media around. But you also want a powerful AI hub to automate the tagging, the searchability, and the identification of objects, faces, logos, etc., in all of the media coming in. And so when you build the system correctly, you create an environment that allows users to not even have to lift a finger to use the vast content of the vast library of content in their work. So the whole idea is that users shouldn't have to I say users, I mean, video editors, designers, etc. They shouldn't have to think about where the media and assets they need are located. They shouldn't have to spend time tracking things down. They should just be able to search for what they need. I need a shot of that car in this location, and then they get it. And with a combined solution like this, it makes that possible. So We're very pleased to have our guests here today from Inter Milan, and I'm going to pass the microphone over to Alessandra to give background on Inter Milan and their digital transformation.
All right, thanks, Evan. Good morning to everybody. Yeah, just a quick introduction for Inter Milano. I don't know if everyone knows about the team. We are in an Italian professional football club, which is based in Milan, and which was born in 1908. The name Internazionale, which means internationally, is because the team was founded just to have all the players coming from all over the world, so not only from Italy, and that's why we are called Internazionale. In these 115 years, maybe nearly, we won such a lot of competitions, fortunately, and we are in Italy the last Italian team who won the European Champions League. So if we can go to the next slide, maybe we can see what we did in the last years, because since the Chinese property Sanning was the new property for Inter Milan, we began a digital transformation program, because we analyzed that we have a lot of supporters all over the world, which are nearly 385 million, and for that reason we started to trying to reach all of them through the digital touch points. And the strategy was to create an intermedia house, just to create new digital contents and content for the social media. And the results from the last season and the previous season were quite good, because we had a really grow presence on the social media, and nowadays we have nearly 28 million worldwide followers. So the next slide will show you the content-driven fan engagement, because we implemented a digital experience platform just to have a single platform where to manage all the contents and where to push the contents to our fans all over the world. So with the digital experience platform, we're going to use the media assets, because in our opinion, the media assets will be the preferred contents for our fans. And in that way, we will expose all the digital assets through the digital experience platform to reach all of our fans all over the world. Okay, we did also a short video just to explain better how it works. Maybe Davide, my colleague, can explain better what you will see. Davide?
Sure, Ale. So it's good to briefly talk to you about the sample ingestion of a file in the web interface of the MAM. Here we can see if the video starts. Okay, we can see the upload, and after the asset is placed in the right folder, thanks to the automation, it's indexed and a low resolution of the file is generated. So here we can see that it's gone in a folder. This preview generated is for preview purpose, and it's also submitted to the AI engines. And after about 2 times of the length of the video, you will have the AI tags on the video, and we can see that it's searchable. We have searched through the goal on transcriptions, And we found that this video has some gold in these transcriptions. And we can see that switching from the timelines, we can see the logos and the transcriptions that were analyzed and found from the AI. And this is really useful for us to produce some partner contents. For instance, make me a logo with all moments from Pirelli, or to find the specific moments of the match. For instance, goal or a corner or a tackle taken from the transcription. And this is really helpful for us because it's done through the web interface and it's really simple.
Thank you, Davide. And just to explain what we're looking at here in our web interface, this is our data timeline view, where any artificial intelligence data that has been created, or even if a human has gone through and logged the footage, it'll appear as a timeline here that becomes searchable, and you can see that you can enable the object identification or the transcription to be viewed as a closed captioning track as you're watching the video. And for any AI identification that the engine returns a bounding box for where it was identified, we display that box. So you can see that the Rinascente and the Pirelli logos are outlined, so you can see exactly what was identified. So what is the solution that we've done for Inter Milan in a little more detail? First off, Inter Milan had media archived and sitting in multiple offices in the San Siro Stadium and multiple storage locations. And then they also had new media coming in from their current productions and from shooting and everything. And so what Evolphin had to do is manage the data migration of all the past media and also automate the ingestion of all the new media coming in. And with the Evolphin Zoom MAM sitting at the center of all that, it can be automated and streamlined and made very easy for everyone to utilize. Evolphin orchestrated all of the necessary transcoders to generate the proxies. Every video coming in has a low-res proxy, or a low bitrate proxy, I should say, that is generated, and then that proxy is sent to Veritone for analysis. And we have a hub running that manages the jobs, and Veritone goes through the incoming media and automates the AI tagging and identification of all of that. We have Veritone analyzing for face recognition of players, so you can train it to look for specific players and tell them who these players are. We have logo detection for sponsors. So as you saw, the Pirelli logo, for example, was identified. And Inter Milan is able to upload a list of sponsor logos that they want to look for, and Veritone identifies them. And you also saw that Veritone is creating transcription in Italian from the spoken words in these videos. And Veritone supports a bunch of languages, and that's one thing that is very useful, is that they support Italian. Once Veritone is done analyzing everything, that data is fed back into Evolphin, which applies the metadata to each file, and it becomes searchable. So you saw in the video that the user searched for the word goal and found all of the transcription moments that had that word. So it's very easy to find things once they've been tagged with AI, and with Evolphin managing the orchestration of all the elements in the center of it, it makes it very, very easy to use, and the users don't even have to lift a finger. So to get into some statistics of what we've done so far with Inter, so far almost 5,000 files have been ingested and migrated, and they total over 18,000 hours of video processed. They've been analyzed for face, logo, and transcription, and around 270 terabytes of media has been migrated so far. It's come from 2 different NAS volumes, an S3 bucket, and also 3 older DAM systems. And now it all exists in a single source of truth, which is Zoom. So they had a bunch of things everywhere, and now it's all in one location, and everyone can access it. Everyone who has permission to access certain resources can do so, and it's all easy to find. They have 8 heavy users. Those would be the video editors, and 15 light users using our web client, for example, out of their Intermedia House team, which includes InterTV and their photo archive. In the image here, we're seeing our data timelines showing the AI data visualized, and then also that AI data can be fed back into Premiere for their edits. So at a high level, their vast archives are now searchable and reusable. Footage can be found fast and added to their sequences. And also with Zoom generating low-res proxies of all the incoming media, now remote workers who are not in the office can still edit with the media coming in using those low-res proxies. So we've now enabled a remote workflow for Inter Milan that they didn't have before without, shuttling hard drives of media. Players can be searched for, sponsors can, run reports on their logo attribution and so much more. And at the end of the day, it results in their team working faster and their media is more secure. So let's go into just a quick overview of what Evolphin is and what Veritone is. So for those of you unfamiliar, Evolphin is an AI-powered combination of a MAM, a DAM, and a PAM. It's going to be your single source of truth, storing every asset that your team needs to access securely and in a managed environment. And at its core, it really just lifts the burden of all stages in the media production pipeline. So you don't have to manually transcode videos. You don't have to manually drag them somewhere else for archive. You don't have to manually keep track of that archive. You don't have to manually, fill out forms and drag and drop to publish and whatnot. It's doing this all in the background so that it frees up so much time from the creative teams. It's also managing the work in progress. So it's going to store your Premiere projects, your After Effects projects, and securely store their versions and allow people to collaborate on them, review them, share projects, and it's just made a lot easier. Zoom can be deployed on-premise, in the cloud, or a hybrid of the two. And you can also access on-premise resources even though you're remote. And our customers include media and entertainment companies, sports teams, of course, advertisers, manufacturers, and even healthcare as well. We have plugins for 5 of the Adobe Creative Cloud applications that allow users to search for, drag and drop media into their projects, manage all the files that are linked to their projects, and swap proxy versions in and out. And it's just a full suite that helps manage the creative work in progress workflow. And it's all in a highly secure and managed environment. And so with that, I'm going to pass the microphone over to David, who's going to talk a little bit about Veritone.
Yes, thank you very much. So Veritone is, for those of you who don't know, is a leading enterprise provider of AI technologies and solutions. And through our proprietary platform, AIware, we develop and deploy licensed cognitive applications to the media and entertainment industry, along with other industries, including government, legal and compliance, etc. But today we're talking about media and entertainment. So in summary, AIware, we call it the operating system for AI. It's a proprietary solution built from the ground up by Veritone. It imitates human behavior whilst recognizing and analyzing various patterns in your media. And it helps transform all types of media, from audio, video, images, documents, live audio and video feeds, all into what we call actionable intelligence and actionable insights. So it's an open architecture and it can be deployed very simply via the cloud or a hybrid or on-premise. And it allows customers to choose from the best mix of cognitive engines on the market today. So we do have our own proprietary cognitive engines, but we also have the best of breed. So you're engineering once into an orchestrated world of cognitive capabilities. And we also have very robust APIs and unproven products ourselves and third-party integrations. For example, the one we're talking about now is with Evolphin. and we have our own native products such as Veritone Essentials, which sits on top of the AIware platform, and Digital Media Hub and Attribute, which is real-time attribution for broadcasters dealing with their advertisers. So you can see multiple use cases across multiple industries there. If we could just pop to the next slide, please. So a bit of a technical overview of what's happening beneath the hood for Inter Milan and just generally. So AIware is designed really much like a standard computational operating system. So where you have in a computational system, you know, your RAM and your CPU, etc. We have on our side all of our cognitive categories, and they're fed into AIware as you would feed into Windows or iOS. And then there's an API consumption model, which moves to our apps or our third-party integrations. So if I just quickly run through this from the bottom up, all the way from getting content in to consuming it. So at the adapter level, this is the data ingestion layer. We've got real-time adapters. So as soon as content's coming in, we can actually start the processing pretty much instantaneously. They're built very fast for cognitive processing, therefore. And we can manage both structured and unstructured data. So structured being kind of things like text, and unstructured being things like video, audio, images, and documents, etc. And in the adapters, we have ready-made adapters for the likes of cloud object storage like S3, right down to simple storage like Dropbox and things like that. Or indeed, we can have simple to use self-serve workflows for you to ingest your media. Then the cognitive engines. This is the real power of the AIware platform. This is the cognition layer. So we've got hundreds of engines, as I said, industry's best of breed across about 25 cognitive categories in the Veritone ecosystem, and you can see a few there. And these are a mix, as I said, of proprietary and third-party engines, and many of them are fully trainable. New engine onboarding also can be performed by what we call the Veritone developer app. So we have the capability of always upgrading and being, so you only engineer once, and we make sure you've got the best of breed for everything. So onto the controller orchestration layer. This is proprietary machine learning technology, and it is intelligently routing data through the most effective engines, providing improved accuracy and normalization of data output. And within that layer as well, we have engine benchmarking, so for optimal engine usage. So if we have, for example, transcription, and we take a fully 100% QC transcript and put it into the system, we can benchmark other engines against that across your media. So there's really no hiding for accuracy going forward with AIware. All of this information is brought into the temporal elastic database, or the metadata storage layer, where it normalizes the cognitive engine's output. And it also preserves data insights against your content, along with time correlated indexing across the video's timeline. What it can also do is enable multivariant search across multiple categories. So you might want to search for what was said and then who said it. And that would be by using transcription or speech to text in combination with face recognition. And the combinations there are infinite that you can use. The API layer, we have a robust set of APIs which can be used to access and extend the capabilities of AIware. And we use GraphQL APIs as standard. And we also have a tool called Automate Studio, which is a low-code visual programming tool for very simple integrations. And then finally, the application layer. So the big blue bar on the left, the Veritone application suite, is called Veritone Essentials. So you can consume your data through there. Digital Media Hub is our own asset management platform, but a very different use case to Evolphin. Third-party integrations, and we're talking about one right now with Evolphin. We also have other third-party systems integrated, and we have an Adobe Premiere plugin for producing transcript and translation across your sequences. And then finally, you may want to just integrate via the API using GraphQL with the added option of using Automate Studio. So if we could just pop to the next slide. And I think it's back to you, Evan, there.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, David. So in summary, what is our joint solution doing for Inter, and what can it do for other companies and other sports teams? So Evolphin, as I said, orchestrates the ingest, the transcoding, the migration. Veritone orchestrates the AI analysis, the tagging, and the data. And by using our joint solution together, this AI data and this rich metadata is available to the entire creative process, from edit to publishing and to archive. So, even after the assets are used, this AI data can help you find old footage and monetize it, or use it in your upcoming projects, and you get a lot more ROI on the shoot. Veritone's bundling makes adding more analysis in the future affordable as needs change, and Evolphin's flexibility and scalability mean that as you need to add more components in the future, such as more transcoders or different archive solution or a different publishing endpoint, you can do that. So by having these two powerful hubs controlling everything and orchestrating everything, you're not locked into what you're solving for today. Your business needs can change in the future, and Evolphin and Veritone can make it easy to adapt. In addition to identifying face, logo, and translation, as Inter is doing, you can also identify things like sentiment in a video or moments in a game. You can even identify when a goal is scored, for example. You can identify the subject that people are talking about. And our customers span pretty much every industry out there, between sports, media, entertainment, advertising, government, manufacturing, you name it. We have solutions out there for them. So what are specifically the business benefits of our joint solution? You're going to be able to engage your fans and customers in more interesting and broader ways. You're going to be able to diversify because you're going to be present in a lot more different streams to reach people. Your social media posts are going to be able to be produced faster and reach more people. On actual game day, you're going to be able to produce content more rapidly and more relevant for people as the game is being played if you're a sports team. And you're going to be able to create better content faster. So with Evolphin and Veritone orchestrating the whole process, each of your employees is going to be able to output more content faster, which gives you a higher ROI on that employee. You're going to be able to maximize your revenue streams on social media with more relevant content that resonates with people, so they're more likely to engage. You're going to be able to monetize your archives by licensing it to third parties. So if you have a bunch of old footage that you don't know what's in it, you can have it ingested, migrated, and analyzed with AI, and suddenly you have a searchable archive that third parties, other companies that want to license from you and pay to license it from you can now do so, because you can make it available and searchable by them. Your sponsors are going to be happy because you can run reports on how often their logo appears and things like that. So you're going to have a better time engaging with sponsors. And you're going to have a higher ROI on your media production, because you're going to be able to reuse clips, find them faster, use them for other projects. And you're not going to have to reshoot anything, because you're going to be able to find and access the media you already have. And as I've said before, but it's a very important point, a lot of your staff and a lot of your time is going to be freed up, because you're no longer going to have to manually manage media, manually transcode, manually go through all of your clips and log them, have an army of interns filling out metadata and logging things, or manually archive. All of this is going to be automated. So much of your team's time and so much of your workforce is not going to have to spend time on this, and is going to be able to focus on what they're there to do, which is on being creative and creating great content. So thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate you being here. That's it for the presentation. And so I'm going to pass the microphone back over to Brian. We're going to go into a question and answer session now. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function on the webinar app to submit questions, and Brian will read through them and we'll answer them. So thank you.
Evan, thank you so much. And David, thank you for your overview of Veritone. And Davide and Alessandro, I'm very grateful for your overview of Inter Milan. Alessandro, I have a question for you. Could you just describe briefly the process that you followed to introduce this new approach for your digital transformation? Perhaps talk a little bit about how you got the users involved, how you train them, and of course, you know, how the users feel about using this technology.
Yeah, it's not so easy just to explain in few words, because the project has been such a really big project, because there was a really deep dive analysis phase, because we analyzed all the workflows they follow during the day and during the working day. And we replicated every workflow inside the platform. So since they were they used to find for the files inside the storage, and so they knew where the file were inside the storage, inside the folders, and multiple subfolders and multiple name and of the files, and so when they were called to create maybe a video clip, they had to find all the files in their memory first, and then in the storage. So the project really aimed to look for the assets, so not for the file. And in this way, the meta tag is the crucial key, because for the moment they are starting, and they learned and they are using to look for the name of the metadata they are looking for, and not for the file. So it is just a big change management. And it's not easy to make it understand to the users, but when they understand that, they can gain really a lot of time in looking for the assets and not for the file. They are really happy to do that.
Alessandro, thank you. I'm grateful for the for the response. David, I have a question for you, please. Steve asked a question that he noticed cognitive engines for both speech and audio. Can you give an example of how the audio engine could be used?
Yeah, I think what we're referring to is audio would be a category, and speech, i.e., speech to text, for example, or transcription, would sit within the audio category. So, the whole category of audio is where we're analyzing things that we can hear, and that includes transcription. We can basically listen to the native, language. So, we've got tens and tens of different languages to listen. We can do translation. We can do things like speaker separation, where diarization, so we can distinguish between multiple speakers in an audio track, which can sit in a video file. We can do audio video fingerprinting. So we're basically, we're recording a piece of audio, and we're training the engine to listen out for that. So multiple elements within the audio category, one of them being speech to text or transcription.
So David, while I've got you on the microphone, let me ask you another question on behalf of one of our listeners. Does Veritone have the ability to train athletes' faces, logos, etc.? And I mean, obviously yes, but how difficult is that to do? And what's the process look like, and how long does it take?
Well, it's very, very straightforward, and basically there's quite a few methods of doing this. So number one, we have a simple library training app where faces not only faces, but voices can easily be trained. So if you can imagine in face recognition, in face detection, you're looking for the shape of the face. And then in the background, you've got to give it a reference point. So that's where face recognition comes in. So we're simply, if there's a football player or any other celebrity, for example, we're going to build a library for face recognition and then train it. So we can also train some of the engines are trainable themselves. So for example, a transcription engine might allow you to add keywords directly to the engine. We can also train engines via the API. But with the library app, you simply upload the faces, you press publish and train, and AI automatically starts. And the training usually takes a few minutes, depending really on the number of faces you've imported to train. And I usually have a rule of about 5 to 10 static images to find a face and train it.
Thanks for the response. Evan, I have a question for you, please. And Murali, thank you for raising the question. Murali asks, Evolphin and Veritone have partnered, quite innovatively here with a football club. Could you explain our ability to apply this approach to other sports, like cricket, like rugby, like NBA? Is this a solution that can be applied to other verticals?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the answer is absolutely yes. Any company or sports team generating any type of content, whether it be images, audio, or video, can be orchestrated with Evolphin, the ingestion and all that. And Veritone's engines can be used in any sport. So as David was saying, to train the athletes, if you have a basketball team and you have your roster, you can train the facial recognition to identify them. You can have the transcription apply to the announcer who's dictating the moments in the match. And there are also many AI engines out there. Veritone, integrates with tons of them. And I know of an AI engine that identifies moments in soccer matches, so it can identify goals. There may be another AI engine that has been trained on basketball games and can identify 3-pointers or 2-pointers or things like that. But the great thing about going with a solution like Veritone is if someone creates that AI engine and Veritone's integrated with it, you don't have to do anything to then add that to your solution, because as Veritone being the hub, you can easily add that new engine as it's created. So pretty much any media company doing anything can use our combined solution, and the type of sport is not an issue.
Thanks, Evan. I have another question for you, and this question is from Sarah. You talked, Evan, about Evolphin Zoom being an on-premises or a cloud or a hybrid solution. And Sarah's question specifically is that if Evolphin Zoom was deployed on-premises in this type of use case, how easy would it be? And is it possible to then, at a later stage, move the solution into the cloud?
Oh, absolutely. We actually have a few customers who have done that. If you've deployed Evolphin on premises and want to move it to the cloud at a later date, you totally can. And vice versa, if you've deployed in the cloud and suddenly want to move it back on premises, you can do that too. Evolphin's system is very flexible, very scalable. So any infrastructure that you need to swap out, any components you need to add or remove at a later date, you can easily do that. And so that's a huge differentiator for Evolphin, where when you deploy Evolphin now to solve your business challenges today, you don't have to worry about 2-5 years from now if your business needs change. Evolphin can adapt to them in the future, so you're not locked into one mode of operating.
Evan, another question from you, and this is from Daniel. We've talked a lot about video in this webinar. Does Evolphin work with hardware transcoders like Telestream? and what other transcoders does Evolphin work with?
Yeah, so we've integrated with Telestream, with Route 6. I believe we've also integrated with AWS Elemental. So any transcoder that you want, oh, and we also have our own software transcoder out of the box for if you don't have a hardware transcoder. But depending on the amount of media you're bringing in and the level of output you need, we work with you to figure out exactly what transcoding solution is going to be appropriate, and we can integrate with it. So the type of transcoder is not a problem.
Okay. David, I have a question for you. Alessandro, in his opening comments, talked about the Sunning Group, who is a huge Chinese organization that is the primary sort of stakeholder with Inter Milan. We talked about the various engines. Could you explain, does Veritone support the Chinese language? Does Veritone support the Indian language?
Yes, we support multiple languages in terms of transcription and translation. And what we don't have, I mean, and think of it as a platform. As I said earlier on, you engineer once. So Evolphin have taken the decision to engineer into an orchestrated ecosystem. So we have the ability for for those people creating algorithms to actually get them consumed through the aiWARE platform. And if we don't have an engine, that's required, then if it's on the market, then there's the capability of integrating it very, very quickly. So I was talking to a company in Mumbai the other day, and they wanted Bengali and Hindi and Kannada, and I think we had about 95% of their Indian languages. So so the answer is yes. There we have a number of them now. And then when we listen to your requirements, we have an ecosystem team which are constantly running mini RFIs, if you like, to make sure we've got the best engines on the marketplace and we can quickly onboard engines that we require for a project.
David, thanks. Satya, I have your question here, and this is probably best answered by my CTO, who unfortunately is not on this call, but you asked a question about do we use IBM's Watson for this process? The short answer for that right now is no, we don't. But as we at Evolphin engage with our customers, and as we get involved with more innovative workflows, I suspect that my CTO may well look at IBM's Watson and how we might work with that environment in the future should customer requirements want that sort of thing. But thank you for the question. Folks, we're pretty close to the end of the session. Are there any more questions that you'd like to put on the table? We're very happy to answer those. Okay, on that point, we're going to end the webinar. I'm very grateful to each of the speakers today, specifically my colleagues from Inter Milan. Thank you for describing your solution. David, really grateful that you took the time to talk about Veritone's contribution here. And Evan, I'm grateful for your inputs as well. This material will be available after the webinar, and hope you get the chance to digest what we've talked about. We'd love to talk with you about this in more detail, but for now, good morning. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you all stay safe and have a great day. Goodbye now.